Yes, I am. Why? What do I not know? What am I doing wrong, Soul Gazer? I don't want it to be me. But it totally could be. Learning experience. I'm not touching anything. I'm not clicking the end stream button. So I've got, okay, so I talked about our gratitude. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm logging out of it and then, like, opening it back up. But why? Like, this has never happened before, and it's now happened 3 times in one stream. All right, I'm sorry it's not working out well. Hopefully that's the last of it. Here is a link to, whoa, that is the longest link known to man. Wow. Here, that's terrible. You guys can watch me use Bitly. The height of entertainment. Here. This is better. Link barf indeed. All right, so that's Yale's gratitude exercise. So there's a lot of different ways to do gratitude. I like the way we do it because it's short, it's simple, it gets the job done. If you struggle with that and you want to like dig deeper into gratitude, you can absolutely use this gratitude journal exercise. I've done it before to build up my my skill in gratitude, and it was really helpful. So that is always there for you guys too. So maybe gratitude is the thing you want to get better at. Come out on the other side of COVID, more skillful in. It is there for you. Yay! All right, we have a 1-minute savoring video. Let's do this thing.
In this activity,
oh, it's so quiet. That's gotta be so quiet for you guys. I'm gonna fix that right now. La, 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 la.
First off, what is savoring? Well, it's just the simple act of stepping out of your experience to review it and really appreciate it while it's happening. Why should we take time to savor? Well, it turns out savoring can boost our mood in at least 3 ways. First, savoring can thwart hedonic adaptation. It can make us remember the good stuff in life. Second, savoring can help thwart mind wandering. It keeps us in the moment. And finally, savoring can help us increase gratitude. It can make us thankful for the experiences we're having as we're having them. How do we make the most of this savoring activity? Well, first off, you just have to take part in a positive experience, and then you have to savor during that experience. Take a second to realize why it makes you happy. You can use your phone to help you by taking a picture, which will help you remember it later. Then track what you savored today. As we've seen, tracking can help turn savoring in one moment into a habit. So get out there and savor something good.
You get out there.
Enjoy the best things in life.
Go right now and savor something. Yeah, she said hedonic adaptation, or, oh, wait, they have the words right here. Yeah, hedonic adaptation. So I believe that's when, so hedonia is like positive emotions and positive experiences. And one way people have traditionally tried to live the good life, increase their well-being, was by being hedonistic, right? So you just indulge in whatever is pleasurable. And what positive psychology is finding is that that's not enough, and that too much of that can actually, you know, bring up things like, I don't know, too many STDs in your life, and that, well, now your well-being is not as good, right? Because if your health is compromised. So anyways, but that's what she's talking about, is that you can, so that's hedonia, hedonic. Yeah, I'm working on it. So this idea of hedonic adaptation means that we get used to good things that happen. So like my shower, it's warm water, it feels good, but because I'm used to it, I no longer really notice it's happening. I don't get the benefits of experiencing it. I just take it for granted, right? So savoring counters that. It makes us re-enter the experience of something as if it's happening for the first time. And yeah, I can't believe I knew that answer. Oh, Ooh, ooh, ooh. All right, we got the same kind of video on gratitude. Here we go.
In this activity, we're going to focus on gratitude.
Yeah.
Why gratitude? Well, as we saw in lecture, the simple act of experiencing gratitude has a host of positive benefits. Experiencing gratitude can increase your mood and lower your stress levels. It can even strengthen your immune system and lower your blood pressure. Experiencing gratitude also can make you feel a stronger social connection, which itself has a whole host of positive benefits. And so how do we make the most of this activity? Well, if you're new to this habit, just start by writing things down that you're grateful for. You can also use the app to take a picture of the kinds of things you're thankful for.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry everyone, that's really loud. I'm sorry.
As usual, do it over time.
Thank you.
Use the app to make it a habit.
Thank you for the
So
host.
get out there and feel some thanks for all the wonderful things in your community and in your life.
No, thank you, Soul Gazer. I'm just keeping you on your toes, guys. Yeah. Ooh. Wow. Wow. Okay. So that's gratitude, right? We all know, understand gratitude. I think the one thing I'll add to this that I find helpful too is like a finer point about our gratitude practice. It's not universally true, but it can be helpful to, when we're listing out what we're grateful for, to focus on things that are outside of ourselves. So, because I could say like, oh, I'm grateful that I streamed today. I'm grateful that my courage was good enough. I'm grateful that I ate a healthy breakfast. I'm grateful that I meditated, right? You can focus on yourself, but that's tricky because it's like strengthening the ego, which so often like fucks us up, right? So instead, I think it's more impactful to focus on things that are outside of our control. So I'm grateful for the hot water. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful that you guys are here today. I'm grateful. And it triggers the actual gratitude feelings in myself. And I've read about that distinction before. So if you decide to journal, or even when you're doing your like laundry machine gun listing of gratitude, it's just helpful to focus on things outside of you, right? It reminds you about all the things that are good in your life. Oh, it's just good. It's just good stuff. Yeah. Okay. So the other videos for this like module of the Yale course is around the things that we think will make us happy, but don't. So we have like a good amount of false beliefs around happiness. Like if I just had the perfect body, or if I just had the perfect partner or the perfect job or X amount of money, I would be happy. And that really just isn't where happiness comes from. So happiness and well-being, they come from 5 different areas of our life working in like conjunction with each other, like working together. So it's positive emotions, and that's where gratitude, savoring are tools that can support our positive emotions. It's engagement. So that's doing stuff we love and that we're skillful at, to the point we're skillful enough so that we can lose ourselves in the experience. And yeah, I'm just gonna stay there. So that's engagement. Relationships. So that's obviously having like relationships that support us. They're meaningful. They're like, we feel loved and we're able to give love in return. Hi, SS! And then we have meaning. So our lives have meaning, they have purpose, and then there's accomplishment. So it's not that the good job or more money or perfect anything is going to give us those things, right? It's more that the journey of life when we're mindful about how we're doing it, can build those things up for ourselves. So it's not that the good job and money and wanting, a more fit body are negative goals. It's that they can become destructive when we say to ourselves, I'll be happy as soon as I have that. It's not true. Not true. I'm having a really good day, SS. We've been having like crazy weird tech problems. Like the stream keeps getting dropped and like Soulgazer couldn't host us. So that's been a journey. And hopefully we're done with that. But if something weird does happen, that's why. It's not my fault, I think. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so what you've missed from the course, SS, is two worksheets. Like our skills for the day, for the week, are savoring and gratitude. So I'm going to put them again because I know you like these things. So this is their gratitude practice that they recommend if you want to try it. And then where's the other one? It's right here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, I'm going to shorten that one for you too because they are so long. I guess that's what happens when you're a Gale. You just have really long URLs. All right, so that's for savoring. Oh, you went for a walk with your ma'am. That's nice. I hope it was nice to get out of the house and spend time with her. Dun, 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 dun. All right, guys. So, I'm curious about this one. This is why we have misconceptions. So why we think things are going to make us happy and then they don't. So
now here, we're going to pause for a second. We're almost at the end of the lecture, but I want to really have a moment where you guys reflect on this and take this all
that's
in,
loud enough.
Right? All the stuff that I've told you, scientifically, when you actually look at the people who get good stuff on this and bad stuff on this, and who make changes in this, does it actually make them happier? Does it increase their subjective well-being? The answer is no, it does not, or not nearly as much as you expect. And many of you have this sort of stern, sad face here, and I think that is good, because when I see these data, I mean, these are goals that either I had as an undergrad or I have now as an adult and so on. You think that basically most of the direction you're going with how you're putting energy into things, what you're applying for, what you're stressing about, all that stuff is just the wrong direction. Or maybe a more coursey version of this is you are clueless about what is going to make you happy. All these things you're spending your time on is just not helping. And that's kind of the main message of this part of the lecture, is that we've just been wrong.
So I don't know if she's going to speak to this because I have not watched this yet. But again, I would say it's not that what we're wanting in our life is wrong. It's that we're setting ourselves up for disappointment if we think once we have them, we'll be happy, right? So she was really kind of overly pessimistic there, or overly negative, I should say, in my opinion.
And so with that, we could ask the question, why aren't these things making us happy? Something's gone wrong. All these things we think are going to make us happy aren't. So what's going wrong? And when you pose this to students in particular, you often get two kinds of answers. One answer is, well, I bet all those things like salary and grades and all that stuff, I bet that's not making you happier because maybe you can't make people happier. Maybe your happiness is just genetically set and you just can't change it around. Maybe you're either a glass half empty person or a glass half full person, and that's it. You're just stuck that way. Even if you get the perfect grade and a good true love and all that stuff, not gonna help you, right? So that's one thing you sometimes hear. The other thing you sometimes hear is that, well, all that stuff is great, but life sucks. Bad stuff happens, and maybe you're gonna get the perfect grade, but even if you get the perfect grade, horrible thing happens, and you just can't be as happy because other horrible stuff happens, right? So the idea is your life circumstances creep up on you. So maybe you got the perfect grade, but terrible car accident or something, or maybe the opposite. Maybe you didn't get that job, but then something else good happens. It all kind of balances out your life circumstances, right? And so these are the kind of two answers people give. Genetically, we're just set, we can't change it. Second is life circumstances matter so much, it trumps everything else, or somehow the life circumstances balance out.
Oh, she just revealed that they're wrong. No! Did it end again? No, wait. We're still here. I was gonna say, does that like ring true for anybody? Like we can see that it's incorrect, but I certainly have heard that our ability to be happy is like set in our genetics. Yeah.
And in fact, those two answers are both wrong.
Wrong.
They just don't seem to bear out in the data. And we'll end with this, which is the lovely work by Sonia Lyubomirsky, who has this book that I mentioned before, this sort of How of Happiness, How to Get the Life You Want. She's actually done some really cool scientific work to try to parse this out, to try to say, okay, how much do genes play into happiness? How much do life circumstances play into happiness, and so on. And the fast version of it is that to look at the role of genes, she's been able to look at different happiness measures across identical twins who presumably have the same genes.
Twinsies,
and she can compare their kind of happiness correlation with happiness correlations across fraternal twins who don't have the same genes but have similar life circumstances. Bunch of studies on that. There's also a bunch of studies looking at life circumstances, particularly people's life circumstances where there's been some sort of like train wreck, for lack of a better term, like really terrible things happen, like you become paraplegic, you like lose your job, you become a widow, all these things. And you can kind of parse all the different parts together and ask how much of a contribution is all these different things actually
They look so happy.
And this is the pie chart that she's kind of famously come up with. It's all in, right?
Oh no, I reset it. I'll fix that. I was just... I'm now imagining you guys sitting there, like, if you're watching like those students were, like...
Stuff that I've told you, scientifically, when you actually look at the people who is affected by that.
All right.
The final part seems to be based on all kinds of actions. Actually, like if you hang out by the day, there is a
we had just gotten there. All right, there they are.
And this is the pie chart that she's kind of famously come up with to describe this stuff, of how much of a contribution each of these things makes. There is a decently big slice that comes from your genetics. It seems like we do actually have a genetic set point for happiness. This idea that some people are glass full people, some people are glass empty, that does seem to be borne out by the data, but often way less than we think. It's only about 50%. There's a lot of movement there. The thing that's amazing is the life circumstances part, the thing we really think affects you, like if you had a car crash or you were paraplegic or you won the lottery, all these things, that actually is the smallest component of our happiness. It seems like only about 10% of our actual happiness is affected by that. The final part seems to be based on all kinds of actions, intentions, habits that people bring in. That big 40% seems to control a lot of our happiness.
So I would say that, we talk all the time about our thoughts create our emotions, with create our actions, and we do our meditation, our awareness power up, so that we have more ability to stop our crazy thinking, right? Stop our destructive thinking and intervene and have control of our lives again. So this is why. This is like we can control 40% of our happiness. And that's, maybe not sound like, enough. We're like, well, gosh, out of 100, just 40%. Like if I'm at 0, 40% isn't going to get me to happy. But we're not usually at 0, right? Like we have a genetic set point that accounts for 50% of it, but doesn't mean that that's not like our set point is a 0, right? So the 40% is, I think, an incredible thing to know about, that this is actually a huge chunk of our well-being that we have control over. And it's why I think things like cognitive behavioral therapy, which works with our thinking, and that's where a lot of the coaching tools come from, and a lot of the resilience tools come from. Like, this stuff matters. Like, we have enormous power, should we choose to take responsibility for it, to increase our well-being. And to this life happens piece, I would just say that most of us are most humans are incredibly resilient, which means that after a trauma. That's trauma and tragedy in one, by the way. After a trauma or a tragedy, oh my God, we tend to, after a little, like a set amount of time, like a period of time, we tend to come back to where we were before. Like we tend to bounce back to normal, which is resilience. There are, part of us that will experience post-traumatic stress and, will benefit from the support of mental health professionals, that kind of stuff, to get back to that like normal that we used to have. And then there's a group of people as well that experience post-traumatic growth. And what I've been able to find from the like post-traumatic growth literature is, and this is me like, you know, summarizing it, right? But so take it with a grain of salt. But what I have found is that one of the major things that allows somebody to not just be resilient, but to grow and get stronger for their trauma is the amount that they're able to work on their actions and their thoughts during the experience. And if you don't have the ability to take control of your mind and, you know, change your beliefs, which then change your emotions and change your actions, it's really, really hard to experience post-traumatic growth. So really, I'm saying that by working on our actions and thoughts, it's not maybe just 40%, perhaps it can include that 10% of life happening, or at least a part of that slice. So that's an immense amount that we have control over.
And the good news is that unlike the other stuff, that part really is under our control. It's under our control in important ways. We can work towards it. And she has this lovely quote about this where she says, our intentional, effortful activities have a powerful effect on how happy we are, over and above the effect of set points. These are these genetic things and the circumstances we find ourselves in. We can work hard to be happier.
Yes. So how are you guys going to use this time when you're stuck at home, right? Like, how are you going to come out on the other side of COVID-19 a little bit better than when you went into it? Maybe it's through doing a savoring practice every single day, or a gratitude practice. Maybe you start doing push-ups or sit-ups, right? Like, whatever it is, do something.
The problem is that we seem to be working towards the wrong things. We seem to be putting our time into things like getting good grades and getting the best job and all this stuff. We plan for that stuff, but it's not the stuff that's making us happy.
Ooh, life circumstances, 10. I love quizzes, especially when they don't matter. What % of your happiness is under your control? 40. What % of your, oh, okay, no.
And so
See, I'm so excited.
That there are things we can do to become happier, but most of the goals we think are gonna make us happy don't actually make us happy. So we have to kind of pick the right goals. And that's what we're gonna talk about in future lectures. However, I had to end on a particular note just in case some of you are thinking this, because I think it's important. Another fallacy we're gonna see creeping up. And that fallacy goes something like, okay, that science stuff might be true for everybody else. Maybe that's true for all the freshmen you surveyed before, but I actually am gonna be happier if I get the perfect job this summer. Or like when you thought about how sad you're gonna be, the person who said 1 and you get that grade, like I actually am gonna feel like a 1 when I get that grade. Like, you know, like that science doesn't apply to me. And so to that, I will introduce you to the first of many things you're gonna hear in this course, which I'm gonna call annoying features of the mind that actually lead us astray. It's just dumb ways that the mind is set up that mess us up. We kind of saw this already where we think that once we know something, we're gonna get better at it. Like there are lots of these dumb, annoying features. And this dumb, annoying feature that makes you think that is that you think that when your mind delivers to you an intuition, like I'm gonna feel really sad if I get a bad grade, that intuition is normatively correct. But the fact is that the mind all the time is delivering to us these intuitions about what's gonna make us happy, what's correct, what line is longer, what table is longer, all those intuitions that are just wrong. Sometimes our mind delivers to us stuff that's just like factually incorrect. And we can see it in vision, right? We saw it here, or with the case of the table. The key is that sometimes even outside of vision, we're getting these intuitions that our mind is delivering to us with full force, like that's the right answer, that's what's gonna make us happy, but it is just wrong. Just to see one on the kind of more reasoning side, some of you might have seen this problem before. If you have, don't answer, but this is a problem that's kind of commonly given in business schools. So if a baseball and a bat together cost $1.10, and the bat costs $1 more than the ball, how much does the ball cost? So yell out answers real fast.
Yell out answers, guys.
Oh, you guys are good. You yell, students. Most people, when they see this, have the intuition like, oh, the answer's gotta be 10 cents. I won't ask you to raise your hands, but some of you are smirking, so I know you had that intuition. I won't ask you to embarrass yourself. But that is the wrong answer. The correct answer is 5 cents. In fact, if you do this, most students, even in intro kind of algebra classes and stuff, will get this stuff wrong. Sometimes we get this answer like, oh my gosh, it's popping out, like it's obviously 10 cents, but it's actually, that's the wrong answer. And what we're going to see in this course is that there are tons of things that are going to work like this. You're going to get an incredibly strong intuition that you would hate it if you left this room and got immediately hit by a car and were paraplegic for the rest of your time at Yale. You have the intuition that that would ruin your time at Yale, but it's actually just not true. You have the intuition that if you left here and somehow some random relative that you don't remember or know left you $27 million and you just had that to play around with the rest of your time at Yale, you have the intuition that that would make the rest of your time at Yale pretty awesome. But in fact, it would make it much less awesome than you think. You have the intuition that if you get the grade that you want or a grade that's higher than you want, it's going to be better, but it's just not. So many of our intuitions about happiness are just wrong. And that's one of the things we're going to have to tackle as we kind of go through the rest of the course. And so for that, we'll kind of remind you the kind of message, which is that most of the goals we think are going to make us happy aren't. And in the rest of our time, we're going to kind of go through the goals that will. And with that, we will finish today.
Woo!
For any questions you have.
I like that one. It was, yeah. What do you guys think about that? The idea that a lot of the things we think will make us happy actually aren't going to make us happy, or won't to the extent that we think they do. Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, yeah, like when in my life have I thought, how so, Tiki? Yeah. You know, it's okay, so like to play devil's advocate, and I think it's coming to me because she was talking to a bunch of like young college kids. Like if they went away from that and like, oh man, my goal was to become a doctor or a lawyer or some sort of profession that paid enough money that they could pay off their student debt and have enough, so it has been shown that up to a certain amount of money actually does increase your happiness because it's it's removing stress from your life, right? Like it's providing you with food, shelter, enough money to get your medical needs met, things like that, enough to like have some discretionary spending so you can do some fun things. But that's like, it depends on where you live, but it's like maybe up to $75,000. Beyond that, the pursuit of wealth isn't going to increase your well-being or make you happier. However, like if those kids go away from that lecture and they're like, oh, well, those jobs that would have gotten me that amount of money that would have contributed to my well-being are now something that's like a false goal. I'm going to go, have no job. I'm going to just go travel, whatever it is, like maybe there's an argument to be made that particular goal would still be good for your well-being because it would make sure that all of your needs are met. Being completely a devil's advocate. Oh my gosh, Tiki, stop. No, Tiki. No. Yeah. So one of the most amazing things I learned while coaching or going, through my coaching certification program was this idea of no matter what somebody comes to you with, because, they're always coming with something they want to work on, something that they want to achieve, and they want, you to support them in that goal. So coaches can help with this. But the thing that I learned was whatever somebody is saying that they want, it's not actually what they want. That the true goal, the true desire lies underneath what's being asked. So, for example, what would an example be? So, I want to be really successful and be an expert in my field and make X amount of money. I just want to be the best in my field. And you're like, okay, well, a coach could just help you do that, right? But a really good coach would get curious and ask you questions like, when you have that, when you've achieved that, how are you going to feel? And you can say, oh, I would feel amazing. Okay, well, what about that would make you feel amazing? And you drill down, all of a sudden you discover that the person is going to be really, really happy because they're going to feel respected and they're going to feel like they've made a difference in the world. And right, so you get down, you dig deeper, and once you have those things, you can say, okay, what can you do today to have those things right now? Instead of waiting to achieve this goal, how can you have them right now in your life? So it's not that you don't go out after this big audacious goal still, but you can enjoy the journey more because you're already benefiting and experiencing the thing it is that you really, really wanted. And that does help too, to protect you from achieving the big goal and being really disappointed because you it's empty. Because it's not really actually what you wanted. You wanted all the other things you thought were going to come with it. Anyways,